Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome back to another episode of the First Emperor of Wei Let's Talk Lore series as we continue with episode 6 titled The Four Friends of Cao Pi. Now in our previous two episodes, we introduced Cao Zhi's advisors in Yang Xiu and the Ding brothers. And for this episode, we will introduce their foils in the four core advisors to Cao Pi, aptly nicknamed the Four Friends of Cao Pi. And these four friends are Sima Yi, Chen Qun, Wu Zhi, and Zhu Shuo. While Sima Yi and Chen Qun are no doubt the more famous of the four, the one that actually helped Cao Pi the most during his struggle to become heir is actually Wu Zhi. Born in the Yan province in the year 177, Wu Zhi comes from a poor background, but managed to educate himself to become a Confucian scholar. Yet with the Han system of recommendation, there was no future in politics for Wu Zhi, until in 204, Cao Cao, eager to grow his strength following his miraculous victory at Guandu, pushed to recruit more talents within the Yan province, and located in the city of Zhen at the time, Wu Zhi tried his luck, and immediately his literary talents caught the eyes of Cao Cao, Cao Pi, and Cao Zhi. While not a top-tier talent, such as the famed Seven Sons of Jian'an, which is the collective name given to the top 7 literary scholars of the Jian'an period, Wu Zhi was talented enough to befriend them. Now, we will have a future series covering the Seven Sons of Jian'an, which is a group headlined by none other than Kong Rong. But for the time being, just know that this nickname were given to a group of 7 scholars working under the Han court, under Cao Cao's control, that were publicly seen as the 7 best literary minds of the time. And we know Wu Zhi's association with them through a few well-preserved letters between him and Cao Pi, as Cao Pi often sought advice from Wu Zhi. In fact, Wu Zhi is probably the key reason why Cao Pi ended up as heir, going back to when Cao Cao had first left Cao Pi as the acting regent in 206, as he was headed off for a northern campaign in the Bin province. At this time, it was customary to have a send-off parade for the military, as they would embark off on each campaign. And frequently, Cao Zhi would show off his poetic talents at such events by singing out his newest work to help build morale for the troops as they departed. Cao Cao was particularly fond of this, as being a poet himself, Cao Cao always admired Cao Zhi's poetic talents, and unable to match his brother, Cao Pi always felt defeated at these events. But as the acting regent for the first time, Cao Pi wanted to stand out for once, and Wu Zhi provided him the perfect plan by asking him to not say anything but just cry, in order to show his worries for his aging father as he sets off for another campaign. And it worked, as many present at the departure ceremony came away feeling that Cao Pi was the filial pious son, while Cao Zhi was too self-absorbed and trying to show off his poetry at every opportunity. And beyond this incident, Cao Pi would frequently try to meet with Wu Zhi in person to get advice. But while Cao Cao knew of the contest between his 2 sons for heir, he was very much against his court from actively participating in his family affairs. So Cao Pi would always have to sneak Wu Zhi into his estate by hiding him in baskets full of scrap bamboo meant for making scrolls. One time, Yang Xiu caught wind of this and ratted Wu Zhi out to Cao Cao. And worried for himself and for Wu Zhi, Cao Pi panicked, but Wu Zhi soon calmed him down as he instructed Cao Pi to continue to ship more baskets of bamboo scraps into his estate in the next few days. Sure enough, when Cao Cao sent men to check these shipments, they found nothing but bamboo. And not only did Cao Pi not get in trouble, Cao Cao for the first time started to become suspicious of Yang Xiu's involvement in supporting Cao Zhi, which became one of the main reasons why Cao Cao would end up executing Yang Xiu, as he felt extra betrayed that someone so close to him and that he relied on and trusted would get himself directly involved in the air battle. But we'll get to that later, as Yang Xiu will still have a few more years to live. Now, aside from Wu Zhi, the other three friends of Cao Pi were less active during the air battle, as they would publicly support him, but not get involved in the details, as they are all very well aware of Cao Cao's temperament on the matter. And all three will go on to become contributing members of the Wei court under Cao Pi's reign as emperor, which is slightly outside of scope of this series. So let's return back to acknowledging some of Cao Pi's personal strength aside from the aid he received from these advisors. Now, we mentioned in our last episode that Cao Pi was quite the skilled swordsman, and we know this because it was recorded that once during a feast with General Liu Xun and Deng Zhan, Cao Pi got into a heated discussion about fencing with Deng Zhan, who prided himself on his sword skills. But after Cao Pi pointed out some issues with Deng Zhan's fighting style, Deng Zhan, who held the title of General who boosts morale, felt attacked. So he got up and broke off 2 sugar canes to use as swords, as he wanted to demonstrate to Cao Pi the flaws of his theory. But instead of proving his point, Deng Zhan was struck 3 times by Cao Pi in the arm during this fight. Now embarrassed, Deng Zhan demanded another duel. Now, sensing the anger coming from Deng Zhan, Cao Pi tried to calm the situation down by stating that his own style is just fast, but not strong, as it was impossible for him to land any strikes at crucial spots such as the head. But not willing to settle for such a soft landing, Deng Zhan demanded that they fight again, where Cao Pi finally put the matter to rest as he feigned an opening in his midsection before quickly parrying Deng Zhan's strike and landing a direct blow at Deng Zhan's temple. Gasping at the result, the other participants at the feast quickly pulled them apart as Deng Zhan was dragged back to his seat, as Cao Pi ended the matter by telling the story of how even a famous doctor in the early Western Han Dynasty had to forget his current style in order to improve on new style, to which everyone at the feast laughed, as it hinted that General Deng Zhan might be better off forgetting his prized style entirely in order to improve. Now, Cao Pi's martial skills should come as no surprise, as he grew up in a turbulent time during Cao Cao's initial rise to power, as Cao Pi accompanied his father on all his earlier military campaigns. And aside from his skill with swords, Cao Pi was also extremely proud of his archery abilities, as he wrote in his work, Dianlun, that he was capable of shooting accurately with both hands, thus enabling a wide array of possible shots on horseback. And speaking of his most famous personal work in Dianlun, which is actually a collection of 22 papers written by Cao Pi for his own children, designed to cover a wide variety of topics ranging from politics, history, religion, literature, and simple lessons such as how to recognize flattery from subordinates or the importance of not indulging in alcohol. While the complete collection has been lost to time since the Song dynasty, 3 chapters of the 22 have survived to varying degrees, and one of these 3 chapters is titled Autobiography, which is why we actually know so much about Cao Pi, as it contained many of his childhood stories, including his love for hunting, where he even listed one of his best hunts outside the city of Ye, where he came back with 9 deers and 30 rabbits, as well as the earlier sword fighting story with General Deng Zhan. But the most complete chapter from Dianlun, and the most important chapter, is called Lunwen, or a criticism on literature, where Cao Pi rates and criticizes the entire scholar class and the literary development and environment of the time period. It is widely viewed as the first literary critic piece in Chinese history and was valued by later dynasties, which is why it is the only chapter of the original collection to survive in its entirety. Now, we'll come back next time to fully discuss this paper, as at the time, it also caused quite a stir and aided Cao Pi immensely to gain the respect of many scholars, who had originally favored Cao Zhi due to his poetic talents. And more importantly, we'll discuss how Cao Zhi self-sabotaged his own chances away simply because he can't control his cup. So as we end our episode here, hopefully you all enjoyed it enough to drop a like to support the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!